prowadzić sztandar. Proszę o odśpiewanie hymnu państwowego.
Jeszcze Polska nie zginęła, kiedy my żyjemy. Co nam obca przemoc wzięła, szablą odbierzemy. Marsz, marsz Dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski. Za twoim przewodem złączył się z narodem. Marsz, marsz Dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski. Za twoim przewodem złączył się z narodem. Przejdziem Wisłę, przejdziem Wartę, będziem Polakami. Dał nam przykład Bonaparte, jak zwyciężać mamy. Marsz, marsz Dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski. Za twoim przewodem złączył się z narodem. Marsz, marsz Dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski. Za twoim przewodem złączył się z narodem.
Szanowni Państwo, drodzy studenci, każda inauguracja roku akademickiego jest świętem akademickich podczas wyzwań, zobowiązań i deklaracji, w których wchodzimy pełni nadziei. Dla pracowników uczelni to symboliczny moment rozpoczęcia kolejnego roku rozwoju, czasu przekazywania wiedzy, inspirowania młodych. Dla studentów pierwszego roku to początek zupełnie nowego
knowledge with them. To the students of the first year, it's the opening up of a new chapter in their lives, getting to know a new places and new knowledge. Unfortunately, the academic year which passed, although we have some reasons to be proud of them, it also provoked a lot of reflection on us. Unfortunately, also there are some members of our academic community who passed away, and now I'd like to ask you all to rise, because I will read out their names.
Pani profesor Hanna Dziadkowiak, pani profesor Barbara Kostka, pani profesor Alicja Kurnatowska, pan profesor Andrzej Denys, pan profesor Józef Kędziora, pan profesor Przedzisław Polakowski, pan profesor Wojciech Split, pan profesor Marek Zawirski, doktor habilitowany Tomasz Stetkiewicz, doktor Irena Żukowska, doktor Maciej Gądkiewicz, doktor Franciszek Ozga, doktor Marek Zięba, magister Bogumiła Wiktorowska i Jolanta Adamek.
and Jolanta Adamek.
Proszę spocząć.
Please be seated.
Szanowni Państwo, w tym roku obchodzimy jubileusz. 20 lat temu, 27 lipca, powołano do istnienia Uniwersytet Medyczny w Łodzi, łącząc Cywilną Akademię Medyczną i Wojskową Akademię Medyczną. W ten sposób utworzono największą w Polsce szkołę wyższą, kształcącą kadry medyczne zarówno
In this way, the biggest medical university in Poland was created,
Przygotowania trwały od roku 2000.
delivers
W grudniu tamtego roku powołano
medical
międzyuczelniany
staff
zespół
to
do spraw
civilian and
integracji,
military
w
health
którym obok
service.
przedstawicieli Akademii Medycznej i
So
Wojskowej Akademii Medycznej
we have representatives of
Pierwotnie
both
planowano
these sections
tworzenie
of
Wydziału Nauk o
healthcare.
Zdrowiu
At the
Człowieka
very beginning,
w których Uniwersytetu
we
Łódzkiego.
expected that there would be
Do niego
a
miały zostać
faculty
włączone obie
on
uczelnie. Projekt
human
jednak
health
nie został
that would
zrealizowany.
cover
8
all the projects,
kwietnia
but
roku
this didn't
2002
happen. So on the
ówczesny
8th of
minister zdrowia
April
Mariusz Łapiński oraz minister
2002,
obrony
Mariusz
narodowej Jerzy
Łapiński,
Szwajdziński
Minister of Health, and
podpisali
the
list
then Minister of
intencyjny w
Defense
sprawie połączenia Akademii
signed the
Medycznej
letter of
oraz Wojskowej
intent
Akademii
on
Medycznej.
bringing together the
W
civilian
uroczystości
and
brał udział
military
prezes Rady
schools of
Ministrów i
medicine.
rektorzy obu
The
uczelni,
ceremony was
profesor
attended
Henryk
by
Stępień
representatives of
oraz
the Council
profesor
of
Krzysztof
Ministers and
Jak
of
napisano w
both
powyższym liście, celem
universities.
integracji
The
uczelni było
goal
lepsze
for this
wykorzystanie
integration was to
potencjału
better use
naukowego,
the research and
dydaktycznego,
didactic
klinicznego
teaching
oraz
potential
podwyższenie
and
jakości
clinical
kształcenia
potential
przed- i
and to
podyplomowego,
improve the
podniesienie
quality
poziomu
of
działalności
teaching at
naukowo-dydaktycznej
undergraduate and
oraz
postgraduate levels
wysokospecjalistycznej opieki
and
zdrowotnej.
offering
I tak 1 października
highly
Uniwersytet
professional
Medyczny w
healthcare
Łodzi rozpoczął
services.
swą działalność.
So on the first
Przez tych lat
20 years
20 działo
ago,
się
on the
różnie,
1st of October,
było
we
trochę
started
wzlotów
as a
i upadków,
medical university of
ale
Łódź.
trudno zaprzeczyć, że staliśmy się jedną z największych
Went
polskich
through a bumping
uczelni
road.
dziś.
There were successes and failures,
tylko
but
wśród
we
szkół
cannot
medycznych.
deny
Nasze
that we
notowania
have
stoją
become one of the biggest
wysoko i cały czas
universities
zwyżkują.
in Poland, not only
Znajdujemy się
among
dziś w
medical
zupełnie innym
universities.
miejscu.
Today
Nie
we
jest
are
to
in a completely
stacja
different
końcowa
place, and this
naszej
is not
podróży.
the terminal, the last
Obecną pozycję
stop
uczelni
on our
zawdzięczamy
journey.
wszystkim Państwu.
Our current
Od
position
lat służycie swoją pracą i zaangażowaniem
we
naszemu
owe it to
uniwersytetowi.
all of you.
Poprzez zbudowanie
You are
trwałej
very much
wartości,
committed to our
która
medical
bazuje na
university
rzetelnej
by
aktywności
building a
akademickiej,
lasting value
udało się osiągnąć tak
founded
wiele.
on reliable
Pokorą patrzę jednak
knowledge.
wszystkim. Realnie
We have managed to achieve a lot,
realnie
but
oceniając, jak wiele jest przed nami.
I'm very humble when looking in the future.
Dzisiejsza
and I
nauka
know
nie zna
what
granic, a
challenges we
funkcjonowanie w
face.
światowym obiegu
Today
naukowym
science is
wymaga z
without
nim
limits,
współpracy.
and of course we need to
Poprzez
be in
działania
the
podejmowane we
international
wszystkich
scientific
obszarach
community
funkcjonowania
to be
staramy
able
się
to
zadbać
develop.
o to,
We want to
aby w
take
zmieniających się
care
realiach konsekwentnie realizować misję
to
uczelni.
deliver the
Łącząc
mission of
starania o
our
najwyższy poziom badań
university,
naukowych
to
z ich
combine our
upowszechnianiem i
striving
troską
for
o
achieving
właściwą
the top
formację naszych wychowanków.
quality of our research
Myśląc o
with the
podnoszeniu,
best teaching
o podnoszeniu
practices.
jakości stawiamy na
And
rozwój
thinking of
infrastruktury
improving
i
the quality,
innowacji.
we
Na ręce
want
przedstawicieli
to develop
ministerstwa
structures
szczególnie
and
gorące
engage in innovations.
podziękowania
I'd like to thank
za
representatives of
współpracę
the
w ostatnich
ministry
latach, gdzie
for
rzeczywiście
very
spotkaliśmy się,
successful cooperation over recent years
niespodziewanym dla mnie
when we
strumieniem
received really the support that I
Współpracując
didn't
z instytutami naukowymi i przedsiębiorstwami w kraju i na świecie staramy się pozyskiwać kooperantów, uczestniczyć w programach badawczych, edukacyjnych i wdrożeniowych,
we want to
wspierających
participate in
współpracę między
scientific
sektorem naukowo-badawczym, edukacyjnym, a gospodarczym.
Practical
Nie zapominamy o rozwoju
projects that
kontaktów
support also the
z ośrodkami
economy.
akademickimi
We
w
develop
Europie i na
ties
świecie
with
oraz o stałym
European and
umiędzynarodowianiu
global
uniwersytetu.
institutions, and we
Wszystko
want
to
our
cieszy, ale i
university to
determinuje
internationalize.
nieustanną
We are happy about
Jednak
that,
innej drogi nie
but
ma.
we are also
Dziś tylko
determined to
taki
continue
uniwersytet ma
our
szansę
efforts.
odegrać
That's the
ważną
only
rolę
way to be
społeczną.
successful
Jako
and to
miejsce
be also relevant for the society
My
and
taką
also
właśnie
to
uczelnią być
offer
chcemy.
the space
A
for
uniwersytet
free
to przede wszystkim
discussions.
studenci.
University is mostly about students,
Naszą misją
and
jest
our
kształcić,
mission is to
ale i kształtować
teach,
ich
but
postawy.
also to shape
Bo przecież
their
idea
attitudes,
uniwersytetu
because the
wyrosła
idea of a
z pragnienia poszukiwania
university
prawdy
was born
o
from
człowieku i
the
o świecie.
wish to search for the truth. Truth is the value that defines university and makes, and it is its distinguishing feature. We feel this responsibility for inspiring our students to search for the truth. The truth is our ultimate goal. Dear students of the first year, these are your first steps into the world of the adults. Don't be afraid of becoming responsible for yourself. You have chosen the right path for the future. To be successful, you need to invest a lot. These are difficult studies, especially the first years. Do it for yourselves, but also for your families, for your parents, for those who believe in you, for those who have always supported you, because this is thanks to them you are today where you are. You will be writing the future history of our university. This is the logic of the passing of time. Today I congratulate you also on becoming students of our university, because it wasn't easy to be admitted to it. For many years this will be your second home, or maybe even the first one, taking the amount of tasks that lie ahead of you. And take as much knowledge as you can. You can be as wise as the books that you read, but of course you need to also you also need to have some time for leisure. I hope you will always be very passionate about what you are doing. If you are able to combine it with your profession, then you are happy. Happy people don't go to work. Happy people work for self-accomplishment. But in this job, you cannot survive if you don't like it, if you don't like what you are doing. So make your lives unique, special. Be faithful to your dreams.
Dear students, ladies and gentlemen, we are celebrating today the beginning of the new academic year. It is an opportunity to resume our achievements and to present our plans. Our university has been developing very intensively. I can confirm that the authorities of our university focus their attention on a very high level of teaching. I would like to welcome cordially all English-speaking students, especially freshmen, who in a few minutes will be officially admitted to our university. We are very happy that you came from 65 countries all over the world to complete your education. I am sure you will find at our university a perfect condition for your personal development. You create a very important part of our community. We hope that you will not only learn something about Poland, our history and current development, but also you will teach us about your tradition, culture and customs. I wish you, all of you, a very successful academic year. Szanowni Państwo,
ladies and gentlemen, the new academic year is a year of plans and hopes. I wish you all that your everyday work gives you satisfaction and motivates you for further initiatives. I hope that this new academic year will be calm and safe, even though what's going on in our environment does not give reasons to be very much optimistic. Well, I don't want to focus on that too much, because we all know what's going on in the world. But it's very important for us to be able to study and work in safe conditions. Safety is a word which we have started to value again. We should also strive to achieving our goals and believe in our capabilities. We need courage and hope for the future. When I was a young man, not much older than that was present here. I was in New York, and I met a man at a party, and he was a rabbi. In the Jewish community, it means that it is a wise man. And he told me an old anecdote, which rabbis tell to each other, that Moses received 11 commandments, not 10 ones, but he was deliberating on them, and then he left the 11th one, and he left 10 commandments, and this 11th one was, don't be afraid, go ahead, believe in yourself. Goethe wrote, if you can do something and you dream about it, then just start doing it. Courage has got genius, power and magic in itself, so be courageous.
Bardzo proszę przewodniczącego Rady Samorządu Doktorantów magistra inżyniera Łukasza Dudę.
Of the PhD Student Council, Mr. Andrzej Duda. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Łukasz Duda.
Magnificencjo, rektorze,
Magnificence, Rector, Senate, teachers, guests, colleagues, students and PhD students. On behalf of the PhD Students Council, I would like to welcome all of you at the subsequent inauguration of the academic year at the Medical University in Łódź, with the history starting in the 40s of the previous era. And that's the university training doctors, dentists, pharmacists, etc. And this day should cause reflection on education, our future, and the studies is a next steps in the field of education. I would like to congratulate all the new students accepted by this university. Making these steps, you've joined a huge academic community of this university. You have to remember that a lot depends on you. Don't just concentrate on getting just credits. Use all the other opportunities offered at your stay at the medical universities, like self-government, the sports, the music, the choir, all this can make a wonderful part of your life. Maybe here you will find friends for the entire life. All this is at your disposal. And dear PhD students of the first year, I would like to congratulate you as well to be part of the academic community of this university. In future, you will be part of the academic staff that would be soon responsible for educating students, and you can, your perspectives for development are simply unlimited. And I would like to remind some of you that you now constitute the self-government of PhD students, and we encourage you to be active in the structure. You will have a lot of problems, you will face a lot of difficulties, but in case of problems, you will find advice and assistance from your older friends. We are always there to support you. We not just represent the PhD students to the professors, but first of all, it's your voice. Please come to us with your ideas, with your concepts, and I will invite you to all the scientific initiatives that you will find here. I wish all of you that the time spent at the Medical University would be the best period of your life, and you would remember it as a best time of your life. Thank you very much. Thank you, and now the chairperson of the University Council of Undergraduate Students, Mrs. Alicja Staszek.
Magnificencjo rektorze,
Magnificence Senate, dear guests, on behalf of the student self-government, I am happy to stay before you in such a specific time of inauguration of the new academic year. I welcome you, the new students of Medical University in Łódź, a unique school training medical students. Dear colleagues, I congratulate you. Getting to this university, you have a lot of thoughts in your minds. I understand that. In spite that it's already 4 years since my own inauguration, I remember excitement, interest, looking for new knowledge and new friends, students who came here from all around the world. I wish all of you success. With good attitude, you will make it. And medical studies in Łódź are not restricted to learning. With starting your education, each of you became the member of the community of students. I encourage you to get involved in our activities. We organize trips, we help with education, but it's only part of what we are doing. We wait for your ideas and we will listen to all of them. And our extra activities, the Łódź Medical University is a wonderful place to meet new people and to develop ourselves. If you are talented in music, you can work with our choir. You can go out of Poland for international training, and I also encourage you to be part of our student academic circles. So please join our meetings. You would not be bored. I would like to thank the authorities of this university who always support all our ideas. And finally, I would like to wish all of you that the time spent at the Medical University in Łódź will become the best period in your life. I wish you a wonderful new academic year 2022-2023 to all of you, all members of the academic community. Thank you, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, and although the major moment of this celebration is matriculation, but now, for that, I invite Professor Lucynę Woźniak, who would read the oath for PhD students. So please, everyone, rise.
Szanowni nowi członkowie Międzynarodowej Szkoły Doktorskiej, proszę o powtarzanie za mną. Świadomy uświęconych tradycjom
bearing in mind a centuries-old tradition commitments of a member of the academic community of Medical University of Łódź, I solemnly promise to
obowiązków członka społeczności akademickiej Uniwersytetu Medycznego w Łodzi zobowiązuję się uroczyście
wytrwale zdobywać,
scrupulously acquire knowledge and skills for social good and benefit,
doskonalić wiedzę i umiejętności dla dobra i pożytku społecznego.
Dążyć do prawdy,
search for the truth which underlines all sciences,
z najwyższą starannością
conduct scientific research with utmost diligence and fulfill teaching obligations,
prowadzić badania naukowe oraz wypełniać obowiązki dydaktyczne.
Przestrzegać zasad moralnych
respect
i norm
moral
współżycia
principles and rules of social conduct,
i norm współżycia społecznego.
Dbać o dobre
protect the good name of the university and preserve dignity of doctoral students.
Godność doktoranta.
Bardzo dziękuję.
Thank you. I hope this will go equally well as now. Well, it's almost like our students in uniforms. Thank you very much. And in our international school, our English-speaking students start their academic year. So, Rector Woźniak will now read the oath in English.
It's a pleasure to welcome international students in our international doctoral school. So please repeat after me. Bearing in mind a centuries-old tradition commitments of a member of the academic community of the Medical University of Łódź, I solemnly promise to.
Bearing in mind a centuries-old tradition commitments of a member of the academic community of the Medical University of Łódź, I solemnly promise to.
Scrupulously acquire knowledge and skills for social good and benefit. Search for the truth which underlies all sciences. Conduct scientific research with utmost diligence and fulfill teaching obligations.
Conduct scientific research with utmost diligence and fulfill teaching obligations.
Respect moral principles and rule of social conduct.
Respect moral principles and rules of social conduct.
And protect the good name of the university and preserve dignity of doctoral students.
Protect the good name of the university and preserve dignity of doctoral students.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the students of 3 faculties will become the full-fledged students. So I invite Professor Janusz Piekarski to read the oath, and student, please repeat after Professor.
Świadomy uświęconych tradycjom obowiązków członka społeczności
fully aware of the time-honored duties of the member of academic community, I do solemnly swear that I will acquire and perfect my learning and professional skills and prepare myself to work for the country's welfare. I will obey moral and ethical principles. I will preserve dignity as a student and obey principles of social and peer relationships. I will hold human life in high esteem. I will respect my patient's privacy in a tactful manner. I will express gratitude to my university for the opportunity to study my chosen profession. I will respect my teachers. Having the honor of being a student at the Medical University, I do promise that I will fulfill my obligation according to my strengths and abilities regarding health protection and patients' good to the highest moral dictates. Thank you and congratulations. Thank you. May be seated, at least for a moment. For your information, we have taken almost 200 students of the Ministry of National Defense facing the obvious demands of today's world. We cooperate closely with the Ministry of Defense, but these students, you must know that, study a regular medical course with the same requirements as civil medical doctors. So we now have the number of the students in the first year is the largest. It's a challenge for the university, but I do hope that in spite of the obvious problems, all this will end with a success, and we will have good doctors and more of these good doctors. At this inauguration, we will have the oath by students studying in English and Professor Tomasz Kostka to read the oath to the English-speaking students. Please rise.
It's our great pleasure to welcome all the students beginning their studies in English, students from more than 50 countries all over the world. And now we proceed to the oath of the students, and I would like to ask the student to repeat after me. Fully aware of the time-honored duties of a member of the academic community, I do solemnly swear that I will acquire and perfect my learning and professional skills assiduously, and prepare myself to work for the country's welfare. I will obey moral and ethic principles. I will preserve dignity as a student. I will hold human life in high esteem. I will respect my patient's privacy in a tactful manner. I will express gratitude to my university for the opportunity to study my chosen profession. I will respect my teachers. Having the honor of being a student at the medical university, I do promise that I will fulfill my obligations according to my strengths and abilities. Regarding health protection and patients' good to the highest moral dictates. Thank you and congratulations.
Szanowni Państwo,
ladies, gentlemen,
będziemy mianować
now we will
studentami,
appoint as students and PhD students of our university, the representatives of the student community, and I invite Professor Janusz Piekarski, who is our Deputy Rector for Students and Development, to chair this part of the ceremony. I would like now to invite to the matriculation ceremony. I want Professor Anna Woźniacka to join me on stage, who will accompany the rector in the deed of matriculation. I invite Katarzyna Stańczyk, Marta Urbaniak, MD, Monika Weteska, MD, Master of Science Damian Ciunowicz, and Natalia Siwecka, MD. Thank you very much. I would like to invite to the matriculation ceremony the representatives of the first year who represent their colleagues. I invite Professor Joanna Sikora, Deputy Dean of the Pharmaceutical Faculty, and she will be accompany rector in the deed of matriculation. I invite on stage the representative of Pharmaceutical Faculty, Oliwia Jerzak, Justyna Rękiewicz, and Marta Wnuk. I invite Professor Marzena Zielińska, Dean of the Medical Faculty, who will accompany the rector in the deed of matriculation. I invite on stage representatives of Medical Faculty, Natasza Gąsiorowska, Julia Kowalska, Magdalena Pastuszak, Mr. Szymon Deda, and Agnieszka Gołdyn. I invite representatives of the medical studies by the Ministry of National Defense. I invite Sandra Sowa, Jan Kuls, and Sandra Szyda. I invite representatives of the English studies, Siddharth Santosh Nair, Ashley Munioro, Karin Nassif, Celine Sotu, Ahmed Jihad, Kishan Patel. I invite Professor Jolanta Kujawa, Dean of the Health Sciences Faculty, to accompany Rector in the deed of matriculation. I invite on stage representatives of the Health Sciences, Piotr Siciński, Michalina Gładys, Natalia Dudra, Jakub Bednarski, Paweł Nowicki. Now, I invite the top students beginning studies at our university. I invite Maciej Zaudę, the finalist of the Olympic competition in physics, student of the Faculty of Medicine. I invite Oliwia Jerzak, laureate of the Olympic in biology, students of Pharmacy Faculty. I invite Julia Kowalska and Piotr Siciński, laureates of the university project called Study Buddy, directed to the smartest secondary school youth.
Gratuluję i bardzo dziękuję.
Congratulations and thank you very much.
Szanowni Państwo,
ladies and gentlemen,
nie wiem, co jest z tą edukacją w Polsce, bo co roku przychodzą młodsi ludzie.
I don't know what's going on with the education system in Poland, because every year we are getting younger people. Thank you very much and I wish you all success in acquiring knowledge, and I'm sure we'll
Szanowni Państwo, wykład inauguracyjny na dzisiejszą uroczystość była uprzejmie przygotować pani profesor Agnieszka Wierzbowska, kierownik Katedry Kliniki Hematologii Uniwersytetu Medycznego w Łodzi, kliniki, która jest zlokalizowana w szpitalu imienia Kopernika. Jest to jedna z pereł w koronie naszego uniwersytetu. Klinika, która została stworzona przez profesora rozwinięta przez profesora Tadeusza Robaka,
it was in fact created and developed by Professor Tadeusz Robak, one of our eminent researchers. And Professor Wierzbowska continues all these lines of research. Your magnificence, Rector, ladies and gentlemen, students, thank you very much for this invitation. This is a great honor for me to be able to present this lecture to you. Coming back to the title of the project, leukemia as a term was first used by Rudolf Virchow, but the first description of a patient with leukemia was presented by Alfred Velpeau in 1827. He described in autopsy preparations patients with a disease leading to weakness, fever and the loss of body weight. Very heavy blood, which was probably due to the fact of the presence of white bodies. Acute leukemia, the term was introduced by Rudolf Welf, who, using light microscopy, was able to differentiate between regular and irregular blood cells. Further progress in understanding AML was rather fast due to technological progress, to the introduction of systems that could help differentiate this disease. Acute leukemia is the term which distinguishes fast progressing disease from APL, which from chronic disease. There was also a characteristics of acute leukemia developed, and they were classified from MO to M8. My history of my interest in acute myeloid leukemia, but also in hematology, two my mentors were very relevant for this interest of mine. The former heads of the Clinic of Hematology, Professor Eusebiusz Krykowski and Professor Tadeusz Robak, who is today with us at this ceremony. When it comes to the history of treating AML, it's also rather long. The first drug was arsenic. It was used in big quantities, but with poor results. Well, the breakthrough came after the war, when aminopterin was synthesized for the first time, and this is the beginning of the chemotherapy age. Since the 1970s, there was an idea to combine cytostatics in a more complex structures, and at the same time the 3+7 chemotherapy pattern was created, which is still pertinent for treating AML. At the same time, in the 1970s, first successful attempts took place to transplant blood-creating cells. With their growth, the effects of treatment improved. At the same time, when we look at the survival curves, more and more aggressive chemotherapy and the using of blood-creating cells, they offered some improvement, but especially in younger patients, but in older patients, they were far from satisfactory. So when did the breakthrough come? The first breakthrough was came from acute promyeloid leukemia. This is the level where proliferation of leukemia cells is very aggressive. Results of further studies showed that at the foundation of the APL, we have the creation of the fusion gene. The breakthrough in the treatment of leukemia is owed to Chinese researchers, or rather to Chinese popular medicine, because they proved that the derivative of A vitamin and acid very intensely induces the development of leukemia cells to regular cells. This acid was very widely used in Chinese popular or folk medicine, but despite all research aspects, also political and economic issues were at stake, because searches were going on for more economic ways of treating patients, less expensive than chemotherapy. But also the philosophical tradition of Chinese medicine, that is Cartesian philosophy, saying that you can bring back the wrongdoers to be decent people. A 9-year-old girl in a hospital in Shanghai, for whom chemotherapy was not successful, she died of complications, and her parents decided to take her back home, and then they were persuaded to subdue her to an experimental therapy. And after 7 years, there was no fever anymore, and in further years, they could observe the improvement of her blood structure, and the only proof that they were linked with leukemia was the presence of certain components, and that was due to the use of all-trans-retinoic acid. And I want to say that this girl, who is now an adult woman, she's still alive, and she is perfectly okay. Another breakthrough, this is arsenic, which was used for the first time to treat acute myeloid leukemia. Research showed that arsenic trioxide could help to restore blood structures to normal. The use of arsenic in monotherapy in people allows for remission of between 70 to 80% of patients, and in vitro studies a synergy was shown for the use of trans-retino acid and arsenic trioxide. None of it is a traditional cytostic. Today we know that these both drugs, they act as targeted drugs, and they are perfect for targeted therapy when we know the genetic background of the disease. Each of them acts against different roots of AML. So a question arises, is it possible to treat an APL patient without chemotherapy? And the answer is brought by a randomized study conducted by international study groups, where they compared the outcomes of teaching without chemotherapy versus standard chemotherapy. And the share of total remission without chemotherapy was 100%, and over 90% of patients survived further 4 years. And the top blue curves, you can see the curves for patients treated with ITRA. we can find out that the outcomes of treatment can be better if you use non-chemotherapy treatment. So APL has become a completely curable disease from being a lethal disease, but the progress in different subtypes of acute myeloid leukemia was not so fast. In 2008, in Nature, the first results of the sequencing of human genome were published, and this sequencing was first done for a patient with AML. The genome was compared with healthy cells from skin. So it turned out that this disease, which cytologically looks almost identically in light microscope, is a very heterogeneous disease that contains different types of mutations and cytogenetic aberrations. So now we know why the treatment that was applied for many years using 3+7 chemotherapy was not really successful when it comes to the outcomes of treatment. This one type of chemotherapy cannot be successful for a disease that is so much genetically differentiated. So a space was opened for new drugs. So when we know the genetic background for AML, we can design targeted therapies that can be used for different types of patients. So the best example of a targeted therapy for curing acute myeloid leukemia are drugs for FLT3 mutation. This is one of the most frequently observed mutations in patients with AML, with rather negative prospects for survival. So clinical tests were carried out in which the efficiency of different drugs was assessed, first inhibitors of the first generation, in treating acute myeloid leukemia. And the historical RATIFY test showed that adding FLT3 to traditional chemotherapy expands the lifespan of patients. Midostaurin was the first drug that was registered for treating acute myeloid leukemia. And the first success, of course, triggered further works or more specific, more targeted inhibitors that could inhibit kinases. And now we have further studies which confirm the efficiency of other drugs. Gilteritinib is an inhibitor that is used as a drug. It comes in tablets. It's an oral therapy, and it's a therapy that is much more active for the expanding of the lifespan of patients with AML compared to the so far applied aggressive chemotherapy. Of course, nowadays we have access to other targeted drugs which are synthesized in a way so that they can precisely inhibit the promoters of AML. Another modern type of treatment is the delivery of cytostatics directly to the tumor cell. So this is, for example, gemtuzumab MOAB. This antibody is combined with very strong cytostatic, which cannot be applied generally across the body because it's very toxic. So adding it to the antibody, monoclonal antibody, helps targeted admission of drug because it activates there and kills the cell. So it turns out that these targeted therapies also changed the outcomes of treatments, because for patients with positive prognosis, they increase chances for 5 to 6 year expansion of lifespan. And venetoclax, the latest achievement, a selective inhibitor of BCL2 protein. The use of venetoclax pushes pro-apoptotic proteins which promote or are responsible for the programming of a cell death. So adding this inhibitor expands the lifespans of patients, especially in older people. And we observe remission of the disease in over 50% of patients. And that is very close to what we get using aggressive chemotherapy. So after 2010, the targeted therapy age began in Europe. In Europe, currently, we have 7 drugs that are registered. 6 of them are available to Polish patients. They have been available for quite a short time, but AML is not only one of the most aggressive diseases of the blood system. Besides genetic differentiation, it turns out that the plan of leukemia cells, the clone of leukemia cells mutate. So around the leukemia clone we can see at least 4 subclones of different genetic typology. Undoubtedly, this differentiation within one patient, this genetic differentiation, very much makes the targeted therapy very much difficult, because treating AML is a clone war. The sequencing of genetic material from cells indicate that the clone of leukemia cells, which responds to targeted therapy, they disappear after the treatment, but when the disease comes back, they also come back. And they reappear. So in everyday clinical practice we have to use very sophisticated molecular techniques, sequencing techniques of the latest generation, because with every new attack of the disease it may turn out that genetically this is a completely new disease. So how can we improve the outcomes of treatment of AML? Immunotherapy seems to play the role. It turns out that the cells of AML, when they grow, they change the environment in the myeloid. They subordinate it to their needs, and they create conditions that are appropriate for their survival. These changes take place through different mechanisms. On the one hand, leukemia cells become less visible to our blood system. They have more points of immunologic control on the surface, by which they inhibit the reaction against them. They changed the phenotype into a more immunosuppressive ones. As a result, studies are being taken up in which different types of immunotherapy are used, especially immunotherapies that use our own immunology system to fight the disease, to fight cancer. So first of all, bispecific antibodies which attach lymphocytes to the cell of cancer and destroy it through the lymphocytes of the patient. At the same time, many attempts were made to use the inhibitors of points of immunologic control to increase the activity of the lymphocytes of the patient directed against cancer cells. But this therapy was not very efficient for AML, but surprisingly, inhibitors of points of immunological control were very effective. Leukemia cells also often have CD47 antigen. So on the level of a macrophage, it emits a signal which shows that the cancer cell is similar to healthy cells of human body. So cells with high expression of CD47 antigen, they are more resistant to treatment. That's why antibodies were created, anti-SIRP alpha or anti-CD47. They block the signal, don't eat me, but at the same time it inhibits leukemia cells. So these antibodies, when used in low doses of chemotherapy, are very efficient for leukemia treatment in elderly people who cannot be treated using aggressive chemotherapy, or with 53 mutation, which is resistant to chemotherapy. And they allow for the remission of over 40% of patients. And of course, the most advanced and the most interesting immunotherapy with CAR lymphocytes. They are CAR T lymphocytes with the receptor which recognizes genes on the surface of cancer cells. Of course, works on these receptors, CAR receptors, and the technologies using which they are placed on the cell. They were going on from the late 1980s until the early 1990s. Now we have excellent technologies which allow us to place any receptor in lymphocytes. So this is a new immunotherapy age with CAR lymphocytes. Usually we take lymphocytes from the patient. They are transported to genetic engineering centers where created CAR T lymphocytes are placed back on the cells. So they are multiplied to get the equivalent amount of cells, and they come back as drug, as a bag with lymphocytes. But this drug is a very strong weapon against cancer. Patients, after appropriate preparations using chemotherapy, they are administered with these lymphocytes, and then they circulate in the blood system, and they recognize these cancer cells as aliens, so they cling on to them and they destroy them. So this is the most advanced immunotherapy that is available right now. These CAR lymphocytes were first used in June 2012 in a girl with acute leukemia resistant to treatment. On her Facebook every day she publishes her photo informing us that she's well and she's fine, and today she celebrated the 10th anniversary of her treatment. Of course, those there are different targeted antigens, and I'm sure that soon they will be also available to our patients, because at the end of October we are completing our accreditation, so we will be able to offer this modern therapy to our patients in Łódź. But with AML there is a certain problem with using CAR lymphocytes, because we need to choose the perfect antigen that is just adequate for cancer cells. The first experiences with CAR therapy are currently we are currently correcting them. First tests are going on. First administration to 11 children with AML resistant to treatment, allowed to achieve the remission rate of 80%. And ladies and gentlemen, what's the future of treating AML? This is my final slide, but I think that we are currently beginning the age of high-level therapies. These are human cells, as researchers discovered that the expression of certain genes in mature cells may reverse their maturity to pluripotential maternal cell, the most primary cell, which can divide itself, but it can also modify itself to accommodate itself to the environment, to cells of each and any tissue. Currently in the United States a project is going on in which an attempt is made to use human-induced pluripotential cells, because it is believed that they will be the sources for cells for CAR therapy, for NK therapy, and also for CD47. Finding and working out such an efficient technology not only improves the access to such therapies, but will also improve the access to these therapies, because they will just become available. So currently in treating AML we not only analyze clinical factors like age, condition, overall condition and so on, but also and primarily genetic pattern of the patient. We personalize these treatments, so this is a type of a field of precise medicine. Is precision medicine in acute myeloid leukemia hype or hope? Well, I leave you with this question, and please answer it yourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Well, this lecture could be difficult for part of you, but please do understand that this is not science fiction. I started my career as a kitchen boy, then I was a nurse, and then Professor Eusebiusz Trykowski, one of the heads of the clinics, twice thrown me away. So I'm telling this to understand that everything depends on you. I am really grateful to Professor for throwing me away. And thanks to that, I understand what we heard from Professor Wierzbowska. And now I invite you to the show by the choir. And I have here the list of achievements and prizes, but it's like with Klitschko brothers, wherever they fight, they have the awards. The choir, of course, run by Professor Anna Domańska and Justyna Przytulska, an outstanding instrumentalist Jakub Czech, and our beloved choir. We have the choir for quite a while, from the beginning of this university. People change, but it's also a kind of a community. The competition to get to the choir is pretty complex. They form a very united community, a community that binds additionally. So please enjoy. I am happy to give you the show, and we will play for you the songs that gave us international success. New York, New York, Money Money from Abbas, and Baba Yetu in Swahili, with a soloist of the 6th year of medical studies, Kamil Siski. Conductor is Madame Przytulska, piano Jakub Czech, and before you, the choir of the Medical University of Łódź, conducted by Madame Domańska.
yetu yetulie mbinguni, yetu yetu amina. Baba yetu yetulie, jina lako litukuzwe.
Baba yetu yetulie mbinguni, yetu yetu amina. Baba yetu yetulie, jina lako litukuzwe.
Utupe leo chakula chetu, tunahitaji utusamehe makosa yetu, utusamehe waliotukosea, usitutie katika majaribu, lakini na yule
Baba yetu yetulie mbinguni, yetu yetu amina. Baba yetu yetulie, jina lako litukuzwe. Baba yetu yetulie mbinguni, yetu yetu amina. Baba yetu yetulie, jina lako litukuzwe.
Utupe leo chakula chetu, tunahitaji utusamehe makosa yetu, utusamehe waliotukosea, usitutie katika majaribu, lakini utuokoe na yule
Piękne zaskoczenie też, bo to nowy zupełnie repertuar. Bardzo ciekawy i sympatyczny. Ten ostatni utwór szczególnie, tak myślałem, że
especially this last piece could be practiced by the full gremium of rectors.
Szanowni Państwo.
So, ladies and gentlemen.
Akt
the
studentów
act of matriculation of students makes the candidates the actual students of the university. And according to our tradition, I believe the academic year 2022-2023 open. Quod bodum felix faustum fortunatum quaesit. So let us now sing Gaudamus, a very sad song of dying.
Gaudeamus igitur juvenestum sumus. Gaudeamus igitur juvenestum sumus. Post iucundam juventutem, post molestam senectutem, nos haberit humus. Nos haberit
Thank you to all of you for participation in this ceremony, but please remain in your place until the colors are taken out.